foundation of space exploration lies on our common human ambition.
You could tell by her first cycle that she did not want to be there. She was handpicked from the women that were forced on us.
Inclusive teams foster collaborations.
This woman cost us hundreds of millions of dollars.
Feminine resilience.
She's destroyed every single toilet that we have. We have poop.
Diverse perspectives.
The Russians aren't lying. She drilled a hole in the space station.
Oops.
Guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. You might think I'm being a little hyperbolic with this thumbnail. No, probably one woman didn't destroy the American space program, but probably lots of women did. This is an interesting story that I ran across, and I started running down a rabbit hole over the last couple of days, and I have a few articles that I want to talk about. As you know, let me bring this. I'll bring up the first. I know it's here somewhere. There we go. Diversity inclusion and equal opportunity, they call it. At NASA, we define diversity broadly, blah, 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 blah. And so now their focus is on making sure that women are involved and all the people of all the diversities are involved. And what's happened since then? Well, NASA hasn't been doing so much. They're actually losing their shirt over SpaceX, and they've started using SpaceX, Elon Musk's space program, to replace them for a lot of things. I don't think things are going very well at NASA. But one woman, about I guess it's about 4 or 5 years ago now, really caused them a headache. And I think it made them rethink sending women into space. And this is one of those where at the end of this you could be like, I don't know, man. Like, maybe you're right, but I'd need more evidence. But of course, we're not going to get evidence because it makes women look badly. So this is from the Daily Mail, and this is back in August of 2021. And this is a story about in 2018, and so this is when President Trump was in office. Russia and the United States were getting along pretty well. There wasn't any incursions going on into the Ukraine. So this is before Vladimir Putin was the most evil person on the planet. So I don't see any reason why Russia would make claims against the United States in this area. So just we're going to come at this as no one has any pre-planned, I don't know, news stories about trying to make the other person bad, the bad guys. They say NASA hits back at a Russian claim that astronaut Serena Aunuan, I don't know how you, Latinos help me out, man, Aunuan, Chancellor drilled a hole in the ISS in 2018 to force an early return to Earth following an acute psychological crisis. Now, there is a post on 4chan by, of course, an anonymous person, but they do have a little bit of evidence that I looked into, and it does seem like there might be something there. In August 2018, astronauts rushed to find the source of the air leak on the ISS. They found a hole in the outer wall of the docked Russian Soyuz spaceship. It isn't clear the exact cause of the hole, but it's been subject to speculation. There have been claims of mistakes in manufacturing, repair, even sabotage. According to the Russian news agency TASS, Roscosmos has blamed NASA astronaut Serena Aunuan Chancellor for drilling the hole to return to Earth. I'm going to read through the official story, then we're going to read through a couple more articles, and then I'm going to talk about this anonymous post, and then I'm going to read kind of what they provided as a little bit of proof that they're telling the truth. And we'll see, because it does sound like she was having some issues. Insiders claim there were multiple holes drilled by someone unfamiliar with the module design and without proper support to ensure accurate drilling in low gravity. They claim NASA astronaut Serena Aunuan Chancellor made the hole after she had a blood clot develop in her jugular vein that she had to treat herself, leading to an acute psychological crisis. Now, that's a very specific claim, and I think the only way you'd know that is if she said something about that. I don't know about you, but if I'm in space and I had something clotting up my jugular vein and they told me to take some thinners and aspirin and we'll come get you in 9 months, I would be freaking out too. I'll just be honest with you. They say NASA doesn't comment on medical matters but disputed the claim, describing the astronaut as extremely well respected and is making many invaluable contributions. Now, here's what's weird. When you say, oh, well, this is an extremely well respected and they're making many invaluable contributions, that sounds like that sounds like this, doesn't it? The diversity. That sounds like a phrase that would come from the people that are supporting that. That just, to me, that's just a parroted response of, oh, this person's stunning and brave and making many invaluable contributions, so it couldn't be them. They saw the astronauts rush to fix a hole which had appeared in the outer wall of the Soyuz capsule on the orbiting laboratory. Its origins are, or were, and still are a mystery despite rife speculation. It's thought that the latest report may be Roscosmos deflecting accusations from NASA over the arrival of the Russian science module sending ISIS in a spin in July. But they said no. We're saying somebody drilled a hole in the side of the ship. Now, if you know anything about drilling, and it's kind of hard to tell on this photo, but if you know anything about drilling, they're at a slight angle here taking this photo. They are at a slight angle here taking this photo. But that's a whole lot of material that you can see there on the edge. And if you look at these little jump marks right here, anybody that's ever used a drill or a power tool or anything like that, if you're drilling and you go in too far, and let's say you had like where your key lock was for your drill, because this is in space, so I don't know what kind of hardware they use. But if you, that piece that's turning the drill, if that's made out of metal and that comes in contact with an interior painted surface like that, I could see it very easily just skipping along and leaving that kind of mark. So the Russians say this is somebody that's not familiar with drilling in zero G or low gravity, and because it's not clean. And then they point to this and they say, look, this is not clean. Okay, I kind of have to agree with them on that one. In response, allegations said to come from the Roscosmos. Bill Nelson, head of NASA, posted on Twitter, I fully support Serena. Okay, but that doesn't mean she didn't do it. Was there an interview? Was there a sit-down? Was there a discussion? We interviewed her. We feel, no, it's just I support this person. Okay, great. But that's not a refute of what actually happened. The Russian Space Agency conducted an investigation in the hole in 2019 and compiled a dossier on the incident, but report claim it will not disclose its findings. The leak, a circular hole in the hull of the Russian Soyuz capsule as it joined ISIS, was the subject of a headline and speculation for months. Claims of the cause has been included on a botched repair job by an engineer on Earth who drilled through the side of the spacecraft, issues in manufacturing and sabotage. Okay, well, here's the thing. You're if this happened on Earth and you're a guy that's working on the ship, you're going to be like, okay, maybe no one will see this because it's behind an instrument cluster, but I am in charge of integrity. I'm going to weld this up real quick. This is because you see it's a naked finger. It's not like it's a space glove and they're outside of the place. So they're inside. This is not hard before a launch to fix with a couple of drops of weld and to get a grinder and finish it off. So saying that this happened on the planet, the crew discovered a 2-millimeter hole which caused the leak and plugged it with epoxy and gauze. NASA claimed they were never in danger and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so, and then this is this is from 2021. So this initial report here was written in August of 2021. And this one, NASA debunks Russian claim of her allegedly breaking damaging spacecraft, keeps astronaut medical info private. So this kind of, they basically claim the same thing, and this is just a different article. And then when they start to, if you look down here, they start talking about, oh, well, it could have been a micrometeorite, and this is, but there's a problem with that because I looked it up. I found the actual image right here. And this is on Wikipedia. This is an electron micrograph image of an orbital space debris hole made in the panel by a micrometeoroid. They needed an electron microscope to show this. Well, in the other article, they said it was a 2 millimeter wide hole. That would be a small drill. And also, spoiler alert, micrometeorites do not leave little skip marks from drill, from like the key chuck skipping on the metal. And they don't leave little grooves in the hole, and they don't leave a nice clean drill hole. If you notice the hole from here, that is a puncture hole. There is a difference. So that kind of goes out the window for me. And a micrometeorite that would make a 2 millimeter hole, that's not just stopping on the outer shielding. That goes all the way through. You see what I'm saying? So let me close down some of these tabs as we go here. So this is from somebody on Twitter, and they said, hey, there's somebody that's been talking about this for a while. And so this is an anonymous person, and I'm going to read through what they say, the story that happened. And then there are a couple other links, and they do kind of corroborate this story. It's always hard because it's as an anonymous person. You say, well, yeah, but they're not. Who is this person? I'm going to read through the story here, and then I'm going to show you a couple of links that do kind of back this up. This person says, this is pretty true, just a compound of nonstop women moments and sabotage. She was paranoid about her ex and girlfriend at home. She wanted more attention and fame. She didn't like doing any of her work and demanded being excused. Lots of little things trying to make life hard. To be forced to go home a year early, she decided space was too much within a week or so. This culminated in the bathroom and how NASA and the toilets are sexist because they aren't comfortable. And there's boys always around, NASA said. There's boys always around. NASA said the toilet was designed with ladies in mind, and it's uncomfortable for boys too. She was enraged and demanded a toilet be designed and sent up for women and women only. NASA stated this will take up to a year and hundreds of millions of dollars, but they'll get started on it. She did not like that and demanded to be sent home immediately. I'm not comfortable. I don't want to be here anymore. NASA responded by easing her duties to basically nothing and letting her know there's a taxi schedule in 9 months and that they have few women power missions. And that they have a few women power missions planned for her to make her famous. Even a first ever woman outside repair without a man doing it instead. This was not enough. She wanted to rock it home. Now let me put a pin in this for a second. And now remember, this was back in 2018 when she was originally up there, okay? 2018, or thereabouts. For October 9th, 2020, NASA just sent a new $23 million space toilet to the International Space Station. Astronauts will test out the expensive commode, which is better designed for dual ops, meaning men and women, before its eventual use on deep space missions. So NASA listened to it. It sounds like this anonymous person is right, because here we are, a little bit later from when she was up there, and they do have a new toilet that's been designed. Now, women have been going to space for a while now. She's not the first one, but they just developed a new $23 million toilet for dual ops. It helps its astronauts boldly go, blah, 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 okay? It took NASA 6 years. When does this story come out? This story is coming out 2020. That puts 6 years back to 2014. Now, the real question is, let me go to that Wikipedia page that I had. Let me open that up. Because I did have this lady. Let me copy her name here. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for this, but I want to make sure that, we get all our ducks in a row here. Just copy her name. Let's see exactly when she was up in space. Because maybe we're going to end up debunking ourselves here. You never know. Let's see. NASA career. Part of her training, 2 months in Antarctica of 2010, 2011. 2012, she was on something else. Management astronaut. January 2020. So it looks like she's been around for quite a while. I don't know. It doesn't really say when she was on the International Space Station. It's just the Russians claim she did something, and they don't really say when she was specifically on ISS. But she was around in June of 2012, and it looks like she did training in 2010, 2011. So she's been around, and she was a candidate in 2009. So this doesn't prove positive or negative, but she has been around for a while. So she may be the one that was complaining about this, and they decided to make a new commode for up there. This doesn't really, it doesn't prove anything, but it doesn't disprove anything. They say, let's see, when NASA said that's just not in the logistics, she flipped out and then said she refused to bathe, use the restroom properly, jamming it, let crap spread all over the place, and refused to pick up or follow cleanliness protocols, damaging equipment and causing smells. Ever since its creation, ISS has been the cleanest, freshest smelling environment ever possible, and strictly maintained as such for one very important reason. If you're going to be in a closed space, closed place, floating through space over 100 years, you cannot replace your atmosphere with a fresh one. Every smell is forever. ISS is a pleasant environment with a pleasant smell until now. She continues being awful, annoying everybody, making messes, going after people, destroying their research and altering the experiments of others while they were away, like poisoning space plants randomly. She wanted to be fired from space. And then her big day came, the first ever female-only outside repair. She majorly failed her last few, costing hundreds of millions, with a male lead, and had to be replaced with a male midway through. And one, she dropped all of her tools, all into the void. The next, she borrowed all of the tools of the second because the captain refused to let her touch his, then proceeded to drop all his tool out into the void, leaving just two almost sets. Okay, so here's a story that I found that was written in 2020. Now, you notice all of these are after the allegations that the Russians made. Smelly, noisy, and awash with dead skin cells, life on board the International Space Station. This week, they celebrate 20 years of taking on board its first guests, but the accommodation is not exactly 5-star. And they are talking about how it's now smelly, and that it's become kind of a wreck, that it's very unpleasant. But again, they don't give any specific times of when she was there and when things kind of went south. And I wasn't able to find any. So it's almost like it's kind of been scrubbed a little bit from the internet. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't say when she was exactly there, which is very strange. For them toting, Stunning and Brave, I mean, here's her NASA career, and at no point do they say that she even went to the International Space Station. They just go down here that the Russians accuse her of this, and that she drilled a hole in the module in 2018, but it doesn't say when she got there. It didn't say how long she's been up there. She's married to a physicist, Jeff Chancellor, and has a stepdaughter. And she's an amateur radio operator. So, but you know what I mean? It's very strange that they don't give very specific times when she's up there. I just find that a little strange. So there are now strange smells and things going on up there. They say now she's out in space trying to repair a loose bolt near Hydra. Oh, here's the other thing. Guess what I found on the Forever Net? A toolkit lost in space. Now, you remember that they wanted to promote her by making her the first woman to do a live repair outside of on a spacewalk, right? You do remember the anonymous guy saying that. Listen to the voice here. Now it's quiet because it's in space, and you only hear radio comms, but you can see somebody opening up some sort of a kit here. And now watch. This isn't an accident. It's see ya. Okay, now that does look a little bit like an accident.
Oh, great. We have a lost tool. The if the or crew lock bags was not transferred and it's loose.
Okay, Heidi, crew lock bag.
Yeah. You see it?
Yeah, we see it.
This is a view of that bag as space station cameras and shuttle cameras are tracking it as it drifts away from the space station. There are duplicate pieces of hardware in Steve Bowen's bag that the crew can use as they continue to work on the solar alpha rotary joint.
Now, this is from 2008. Again, so I don't... Did they... You see what I'm saying? Like, has she been up there multiple times? I don't know, because it's kind of been scrubbed from the internet. But he is right here. But again, he could have watched the video, and then he could be saying it was her that did it. But it's very hard to find any information about her or these issues. It's almost like they've been removed. One of the reasons why I like doing these videos is because a lot of times you guys will, like each one of you will take a different part of it. Someone will be like, I'm going to find out what happened to the bag. I'm going to find out when she was up there. I'm going to find out. And then maybe at the end of this, you guys come back and go, dude, this is a nothing burger. Like, it's not even true. And I'll be the first to be like, okay, cool. Like, I like to know that stuff. But this is why we do what we do, because, it's I find this stuff interesting, and that's why I like sometimes talking about these crazy stories. So they say now she's out in space trying to repair a loose bolt near hydraulics with no man doing it or telling her what to do, except a team of men giving her millisecond by millisecond instructions. But the budget already had $250 million set aside for complications. 3 hours of look cool outside, tighten a bolt, live TV, and re-enter turned into 6 hours of nervous giggle girls panicking, almost throwing themselves into space, losing most tools in the second to last box, some others from the box. Now, this anonymous obviously does not like her. But anyway, he says, hey, she's costing him a bunch of money. And she says she thinks she's won, saying she's beaten them, she'll be home soon. Then NASA reminds her the taxi is still 6 months away because she continued to do things that were awful. She loses it, destroys equipment, makes messes, and destroys the toilet 2 times in a few days. Although the Russians were real bros, they didn't want her psycho-targeting them. They let the Americans use their bathroom, guarded, for a few days. Then she tried to destroy theirs. The Americans were left only with diapers. Now, again, I don't know if any of this is true. And basically they continue on like, please get this lady out of here. So MC has finally set a new priority: remove women from the International Space Station ASAP, or there will be no ISS left. So they did a little rescheduling and thought, why send women toilet space when you could take women out of space? So instead of a heroic, we sent a woman toilet to ISS to cure space poop. Here's 3 months of them trying out. They sent an emergency taxi to remove a woman early and sneak on a normal toilet. So, and he continues to go on. But the whole point is here that it does seem that some of his claims are true, but in the same token, could he have been making them, or could he have been writing the story after seeing the video and everything that came out? I don't know. But I can tell you this. This is why I say that women may be ruining NASA. Because they're now all on board the diversity. Artemis 1, NASA cancels moon mission launch over engine problem. Now, they cancel things here and there every once in a while. I'm not saying this is just because of the new inclusivity and diversity and everything else. I'm not saying that that's that. But they did cancel a moon mission, and then they canceled it again, and then they finally got it off the ground months later. And things are getting bad enough now that SpaceX is taking over. They say SpaceX's Starlink may replace NASA's space telecoms network in the next decade. Why is SpaceX doing it instead of NASA? SpaceX wins NASA's $2.9 billion contract to build a moon lander. So NASA isn't building the next moon lander. SpaceX is. Elon Musk's SpaceX is launching astronauts for NASA. So now he's going to be taking the astronauts to the ISS using the Dragon crew vehicle. They say, but why is NASA paying a private company? Let me see if they say where it is. Okay, so this, they say in 2004, Bush announced that the space shuttle would be retired after completing the International Space Station. And they'd build a new vehicle capable of returning astronauts to the moon. Okay, so in 2004 is when the ISS opened up. Following year, Chief Mike Griffin announced that the completion of ISS would for the first time open up commercial opportunities. And, okay, there's a whole lot of words here, but not telling me the story. But anyway, my whole point is SpaceX is now taking people to space. SpaceX is now delivering satellite payloads for NASA. SpaceX is now building the moon landers. What's left at NASA? Is NASA just the government program that you enter into to make sure that, I don't know, that you meet the diversity requirements, or that you're a good pilot, or you go through the training that they think you need to go through? Because if you take away the launches, and you take away the rovers, and you take away the satellites, and what's left? Maybe a couple of satellites, Hubble telescope, things like that. There's no definitive answer to any of this. And I like talking about these things. Not that I'm thinking that I'm some grand conspiracy theorist or anything like that. But I like looking into these things so that in 3 or 5 or 7 years, when we hear, hey, NASA's pretty much done and the government's just going to contract through SpaceX, you can say, okay, well, there were a lot of problems. There were some issues. The Russians said, now next time the Russians say we don't want to work on any projects with you because of my women or my diversity or whatever, and everybody starts calling Russian the bad people and all the isms and phobes and everything, and Russia says, look, we don't trust your astronauts, man. They started going loony for cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over here on us. Maybe there's something to this. Let me know what you guys think below. I like just brain you know me. Every once in a while I do a video. I call it a brain exercise. It doesn't mean I'm right. It doesn't mean anybody's right. But it means maybe there's something here. Maybe there's something going on that we're not being told about. And isn't it interesting to maybe see if we can figure it out or find out what's really going on? I know some of you would probably put a lot more research into this than I did. I only spent, a day, or not even a full day, a couple of hours digging up some articles and stuff like that. And some of you guys are like, I got nothing to do for the next six hours. Let me go crazy with this thing. I'd be really interested to see if you guys can post any links or any information down below and see if maybe there's a little bit something here. Because they didn't seem to have a lot of these problems and all this weirdness until they really started pushing. Because if you do a search for NASA, a lot of the material you find now, oh, here's our new team going into space, and they make sure that they have a woman and every skin color of the rainbow, and they're making where, and yes, more people may be becoming, qualified for this stuff. But remember, a lot of these agencies say they no longer take the best of the best. They take the best people that will represent the full spectrum of our current day, blah, 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 and support the message. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below. I'll leave it there. And if you have any links or comments, I'd really love to see it. Sometimes people can be like, oh, these stories are nothing burgers, dude. But maybe not. And that's why I like talking about them. I'm just always curious to see where things take us, because we seem to be having a lot of problems with things all of a sudden breaking down and not doing so well. And it always kind of makes me wonder why. Guys, if you're over here on YouTube, make sure to join us on betterbachelor.locals.com. I talk about this kind of stuff and more over there. I do live streams. I do the movie streams, all that good stuff. Let's see, what's today? Today is Wednesday, I think. Yeah. So we'll have movie night in a couple of nights. Make sure to join us over there, and we'll see you in the next one.